Breaking tonight, an overloaded van said to be carrying 25 migrants reportedly crashed on a remote South Texas highway, killing at least 11 people and injuring more than a dozen others. This as a whistleblower is sounding the alarm, saying most illegal immigrants at the border are being released into the U.S. after being captured. The whistleblower says only a quarter of those captured are being sent to ICE for detention. Some have reportedly been released for ridiculous reasons like having a high body mass index. And now Republican lawmakers who received the whistleblower's report say letting these migrants out, many with COVID, is breaking the law. So how much more tragedy and absurdity has to happen before the president fixes the border, at least does something? Joining me now, California Republican Congressman and House Judiciary Committee member Tom McClintock is back. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, Kennedy, good to be back.
So what is going on here? There are obviously thousands and thousands of people pouring over our southern border for a number of reasons. Some of them have very good intentions and they want to come to this country to work, but they are not being processed according to the law. What's going on?
Well, a combination of things, but you have to understand what this whistleblower is telling us. As you know, it is a misdemeanor to illegally cross the border. If you cross the border after you've already been deported, that's a felony. The law requires that such people be immediately taken into custody. What this whistleblower told us is that ICE is refusing to do so, which leaves the Border Patrol no choice but to release them into the communities. And that's, by the way, what is flooding McAllen, Texas. But don't think for a second they stay in McAllen. Within days, they're on planes and buses all over the country. The whistleblower told us that this was a violation of federal law, a federal law that he was sworn to uphold, that he had spent his entire career upholding, and he could not be a party to deliberately violating federal law. He was told, well, this order's coming from the higher ups. He says, fine, you do it. I'm not going to break the law. And then he came to us.
So CBP and ICE are obviously overwhelmed by the sheer number of people who are coming over the border. There aren't enough judges. There aren't enough facilities. So what are they supposed to do?
Well, they're releasing them into the country without any kind of
But
vetting.
if you have nowhere to put them and not enough agents to apprehend them, then what do you do?
Yeah. Well, you should be returning them south of the border. Instead, we're admitting them into the country without even giving them a court date. They're given a phone number to call when they get wherever that we're paying for them to go. And these numbers are astronomical. In July, 200,000 people illegally crossed our border. That's roughly the population of Salt Lake City. We are on track right now to see 2 million encounters before the end of the year. 2 million. Think about that, Kennedy. That's the population of Alaska, Vermont, and Wyoming combined in a single year. And the youth and family units and many individuals are being systematically released into our country. In fact, and by the way, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Gallup estimates that 42 million people in Latin America and the Caribbean also intend to come. Now, no civilization has ever survived this magnitude of a mass migration. That's ultimately what brought down the Roman Empire.
And Alexander, well, that was the okay. So let's discuss this a little bit, because you have a lot of people and you have a lot of children. The vice president said she has been very busy working on the root causes. And, you know, she went in front of the cameras and said, don't come. Don't come. And clearly no one is listening to her. So, you know, it's like, yes, it's really bad to let 7,000 COVID positive people go into McAllen, Texas, you know, without treating them. NGOs are supposed to isolate them so they don't infect community members, because apparently that's a really big thing, is to be masked and vaccinated. And none of that is happening. But does anyone have a plan, even your Republican counterparts, to stop the wave of kids who are coming up with coyotes?
We had secured the border at the end of the Trump administration. The Remain in Mexico policy, the border wall, and ICE deporting court-ordered deportations as well as taking into custody criminal aliens and getting them the hell out of this country once they're released from prison rather than releasing them back into our communities, that had effectively taken control of the border. And the numbers speak for themselves. Election week 2020, 100 family units illegally crossed our border. By inauguration week, that number had swelled to 1,000. By the end of March, it was 14,000, and that's about where it's remained since. The root cause is that on day one, Joe Biden repealed the Remain in Mexico policy, canceled the border wall and ordered no further construction on it, ordered ICE not to engage in deportations, and ordered ICE not to take into custody many types of felons being released from our prisons. So they go back into our communities. That's the root cause of this crisis, and you can trace it from January 20th, 2021.
And now they are giving some of the thousands of people who are coming over the border the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and also Democrat voter registration, which is exciting. It's like a gift package. Thank you so much, Congressman McClintock.
My pleasure, Kennedy. Thanks for having me.
For sure.